What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to go over OTC, and I'm starting to revive this channel. So it's been largely dormant. I do have several other YouTube channels that kind of deal with growth stocks, spec plays, but I haven't really dabbled so much in OTC. So I wanted to go over what you need to really look at. So I'm going to go over at least one stock, some things to kind of watch for, and everything else. Before I get into any of that though, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, when it comes down to just screening, OTC, the official website, does have a very good screening tool and very interactive. In my opinion, it comes down to liquidity. So start off by sorting just by change, because you want to see something that is kind of generally moving up. OTC, you never want to catch a falling knife. That's just my own opinion. Everything I say is actually just my own opinion, but what I do is orient it towards top down, and then you can kind of cycle right here. Choose whatever floats your boat. I personally pick like 10 million. So I want 10 million volume that was done over the last 24 hours or the last trading day. That way you can kind of cycle through what is and isn't relevant, and that is where you can kind of do a lot of due diligence. OTC, just so you are aware, does require a ton of due diligence, but you generally want to find something that isn't in the 0002 range. There's a lot of different aspects, but one thing that really drew my attention was IJJP. So first you want to do is go over to whatever platform you have and just take a look at recent news. Again, you have to take that with a grain of salt, because sometimes there is absolutely no news, but for the most part, you can look at the company profile to see what it is all about. So it looks like it's kind of web design, IT consulting, and other services. 4 employees, founded in 2003, Silver Spring MD. Does have their website, so it's always good to take a look at websites just to see if they're functioning. You have to lower your standards quite a lot, because keep in mind this is OTC. Not a lot of companies generally do have any website. So I think this, even though it's not the most appealing, at least it is something. But kind of just play around with it. There's different ways to invest in OTC. This is, again, just my experience. You can invest in the long term, or you can swing trade. I think it's a lot more advantageous to swing trade rather than fully invest, because I think the percentage of successful OTC companies isn't all that great. So in my opinion, you want to kind of piggyback and ride the wave higher and just know when to get out. So just take a look at their kind of due diligence. You can obviously read into it a little bit deeper. One thing that a lot of companies have done recently, so you have to, even though you're looking at the company profile, a lot of companies do kind of pivot. So they switch to the latest hype, whether it be AI, cannabis, or something else. So you have to kind of be aware that hopefully their website would be resemblant of that. You also want to go on to the OTC website again and just look over some of the data, because even though some companies have actually gone up and it hits all the marks, like for instance going back over here, so essentially it does have the at least 10 million in volume. It went up today, but let's say that was just more one transaction. You can kind of double check based on this. So this was multiple different transactions, very advantageous. That's one thing that you really do want, is liquidity. And plus you can even further do that by looking over here. There's a lot of websites that do that, do this, such as historical prices. I believe even Yahoo has it. I like to use Seeking Alpha. So I have a 7-day free trial for anyone who wants to use it. Link in the description below and also the comments. But you can kind of see if it was just a one-off. So generally, yes, it looks like on July the 1st, it was for the most part a pretty just one-off day, 184 million. Aside from that, there's 1 million, 5 million. So it's okay. One thing that you really want to do as well is look for splits. Probably reverse stock splits. Of course, I could go the other way, but more common than not under OTC is reverse stock splits. So this being only one instance on October 14th, 2010, a 1 for 1,000, even though that is a fairly high ratio, It's kind of normal for OTC, and the fact that it's only been one is generally a very good thing in my opinion. So once again, those are just some things just to kind of cross off. One thing that you really want to do when you're kind of scouring and scanning different OTC companies is just to pop up a red flag. If you see a red flag, it is better just to walk away. Don't try and force it. And so far, this company has kind of hit all the marks, has a functioning website, hasn't done massive recent reverse stock splits. So it shows that they actually do have their stuff together for the most part. And under the OTC website, they do have a fairly good area that you can actually look for recent documents, filings to the SEC. So quarterly report was submitted on June the 14th, 2024. So you can always pop that open. In my opinion, if you are an investor, so you want to invest long term, then yes, dive deep into the quarterly earnings and whatever else. If you are a swing trader, you primarily want to deal with what I mentioned, just looking at the volume as well as just the number of transactions. So you want to ensure liquidity. I cannot stress that enough, because I have invested in OTC companies way back when, so I've made a lot of mistakes, and this is why I'm teaching you guys, because I've invested in OTC companies and it just dries up. There's no liquidity and you get stuck with it. Stuck. And this is why I do prefer, going back over here, not to really gravitate towards these companies. Yes, it is very appealing to find a 0001 company, and of course it goes up to 0002, you're up 100%. But liquidity plays a very big part in that. So you could potentially even just extend that to the minimum bid price 0.001, and then that would change the whole dynamic of a lot of companies. Or you can even extend it a little bit further, and let's say 0.0025, and then that way you can kind of search by this, and so you have liquidity. And let's just put up AITX. I know this one company, their CEO is very active on social media quite a lot, but ticker AITX, and in fact I've actually swung trade this one in the past. So this one you can actually do like long term. It's a legitimate company, does have good fundamentals for the most part. So once again, just double check the market cap, volume, and everything, dependent on your investing style. But this company has done 2 reverse stock splits, one in 2018, one in 2020. 2020 was quite dramatic, one for 10,000. And historical prices, you can see on a daily basis, it hits all the marks. It does have a lot of liquidity. So this definitely is one of those ones that you need to add to your watch list, right? And so never rush anything, never FOMO in, but the fact that it has gone up a good amount over this last, let's say 5 days, 35%, it goes to show that this is one of those ones that can ride the wave up. So this is just some typical stuff that I'm doing just to screen through OTC companies. There's a lot more that you can do, but I think that's more so for the investor style, not necessarily just the swing trader momentum kind of investing style. So that's just my own opinion. Let me know your thoughts on that. I'm going to be doing daily videos, or try to do daily videos under this channel. I do have around 5 or 6 other channels, so it's going to be getting a little bit hard, but I do want to do one video dedicated to one random stock, for instance based on here, and then I'll just do a quick deep dive into it, go over some of the available information that I can see, and whether you should swing trade it, some good entry points, and everything else. So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe, and with all that said, appreciate all of you watching.